So this video is sponsored by my own goddamn website, thatsapurple.com. So on there, I sell my prints, brushes, and a new product that just arrived. I'm currently saving up for animation school. I've actually already been accepted, but I've deferred my acceptance for various reasons, including fees. So any purchase on my website is going right back into trying to better my skills and develop as an artist. So do have a look-see, get yourself something nice, and now onto the video. So in this video, I'm not going to be talking about like the actual drawing of characters or setting of a scene, because I believe that is purely subjective. Instead, I'm going to focus on resources to help make your comic making experience a little bit easier, a little bit faster, like page sizing, paneling, speech bubbles, text. I'm also going to show you the different ways you can do all these things so that you can choose the method that is best for you and fits into your workflow. So this video might be a bit lengthy since I'm showing you all the different ways. So feel free to use the timestamps to navigate to where you need to go quicker, and let's get started. Okay, one quick thing. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do enjoy the video. It really does help the channel, and I really do appreciate it. Okay, now let's get started. So the first tip I have for you is to thumbnail your page before you start working. A thumbnail is a very rough outline of what your comic page is going to look like. This gives you a clear idea of how many panels you're going to need, how they're going to be placed, things like that. So I follow the teachings of Brian Lee O'Malley, who is the creator of Scott Pilgrim Comics, and he draws his thumbnails really tiny because he doesn't want to spend too much time doing like too much detail when it's not necessary at that time. So I like to thumbnail a bunch of my pages first before I move forward with the comic. When I'm satisfied with my thumbnail, I select my thumbnail using the freehand selection tool, and then I hit copy. What comes next is that it's time to choose a page size for the comic. I've heard a lot of stories of people who have made their comics digitally and they've made them with really small canvas sizes and cannot print their comics now. They have to leave it online, like they cannot make physical copies of their comics. That is really sad. So I always recommend going as big as you can manage, because when it comes time to print your comic, if you choose a canvas size too small, you're going to get a grainy, pixelated print, and it's just not, you can't sell that. So I say go as big as you can manage. And I say as big as you can manage because you also have to take into consideration like how many layers that you are capable of working with. Because in Procreate, the bigger the canvas size, the less amount of layers that you are allowed. So I personally use 25.696 centimeters in width and 16.798 centimeters in height, because this is the standard size for a US comic. I use 300 dpi dots per inch, and all of this allows me to have a good 29 layers, which I think is pretty great to work with. Just in case you're new here, I have braces that have changed the way I pronounce some things. So I have a lisp and I do stammer a little bit, so I do apologize for that if you're wondering why she pronouncing stuff like that. Okay, anyway, after opening up the page, click on the gear icon, the add button, and then click paste. This is to paste the thumbnail that you copied previously, by the way. So to drag this out, you either use the select tool set to either uniform or have your magnetics turned on and then drag it out, or click fit to screen and adjust it from there. Next up, we are going to be talking about creating panels, which I think might be the longest part of the video, but I think it's pretty informative, so just bear with me. So now there are multiple ways to create panels in Procreate, and I'm going to walk you through all of them. So the first way is the longest way, but it's the way that I personally use and I prefer. So I click on the wrench and toggle the drawing guide on. Then I take a pen of my choice, create a new layer, and turn the drawing assist on by clicking on the layer and tapping assist. The drawing assist basically assists you in following the path of the drawing guide. On the assisted layer, I draw a vertical line from the beginning of the page to the end of the page. I create a new layer, turn on the assist again, and draw a horizontal line from the one end of the page to the other end of the page. Now it's just a matter of duplicating, setting, and then erasing. So in my comic page, I have 7 vertical lines. I duplicate my vertical lines 7 times, place them, and then pinch to merge them all together. I have 6 horizontal lines. I duplicate my horizontal lines 6 times, place them, and then pinch to merge them all together. Now it's erasing time. So take your eraser brush, take your eraser, and take up all the excess lines. And boom, there you have some neat ass panels. Moving on to the next option. So option B, option 2, option II. The next one. This option involves you using the shape tool. So if you're not familiar yet, Procreate has a shape tool. I kind of explained this in the previous video, but I'm going to do it again anyway. So basically, you draw anything and hold on it, like not taking your pen off the screen. Procreate will create a neatly drawn version of that shape. So if you tap on the screen whilst you're keeping your pen on the screen, it gives you the most perfect version of that shape. Like a sphere will turn into a circle, or a rectangle will turn to a square. At the top of the screen, you can click Edit Shape to suit your vision better. So using this knowledge, let's create some panels. Voila! We have some sexy ass panels. Alright, the final option is best for lineless panels and it involves using the rectangle tool. So to access this, click on the selection tool over here and click rectangle. Press on the screen and drag out to draw a perfect rectangle and fill it in with any color of your choice. Do this for all your panels. When you begin sketching or inking or creating a background, you can keep all your art within the panel by using the clipping mask tool. I'll make a video on clipping masks, alpha locks, and all of that maybe sometime in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, that's just something to keep note of. And voila, we have lineless panels. Alright, so moving on to the next part, which is creating speech bubbles. This should go a lot quicker than the panels one because a lot of the information that is in this section was already explained in the panels discussion. So let's get started. There are 4 options for creating speech bubbles. The first option is to just draw it out. Like if you use a streamlined brush, you should find it quite easy to draw your speech bubbles without even needing anything else. So to make your brushes more streamlined, you can tap on the brush, click on stroke path, and then you can adjust how streamlined the brush is with the sliders. So the next option, and this is the option that I do all the time, so trust me, it's not like that difficult. So the next option is to use the shape tool. Like mentioned earlier, draw the shape out that you want and hold, and Procreate will warp it into like a neatly drawn version of the shape you're drawing. Then after you have a nice little circle, sphere, or whatever shape that you want your speech bubble to be, you can now draw out the tip by yourself. The next option is to use the ellipse tool or the ellipse tool. The ellipse tool is found right next to the rectangle tool that we discussed already in the panels discussion. So use this tool to draw out the bubble. Then just like in option B, you can draw the tip out by yourself afterwards. Now for the last and final option for creating speech bubbles, you can use a stamp. Now you can find free stamps in the Procreate forums like this one that I found by Abby Durst. A link will be in the description below, and you can purchase speech bubble stamps from Etsy or Gumroad, and all you have to do is purchase or download the stamps, import them into Procreate, and then begin to use them easy as ABC. So we've now come to the last and final part of our video, which is about creating text for our comics. So there are 3 different ways to add text to your comic. First one being the most obvious, write it out. It can make a comic look really unique because obviously you're using a font that no one else has because it is your handwriting. But if you're like me who has a sucky penmanship, you can just use a pre-existing font. So you can use a pre-existing font that comes with Procreate. I personally use the Jack Armstrong BB font because it kind of reminds me of the Archie Comics font, and it just has like a very comic font vibe that it just looks good for a comic. So But if you're not feeling the Jack Armstrong font or any of the other fonts that come with Procreate, you can head over to 1001fonts.com and search up comic fonts. When you find the ones that you like, download the font and import it into Procreate. It's important to take note that some fonts in 1001 fonts are not allowed for commercial use. So if you intend on selling this comic, I think you can buy a license. So I do recommend that if you're looking at fonts on 1001fonts.com, choose the ones that are allowed for commercial use. Or if you find one that you really, really like, but it's not allowed for commercial use, find out how you can buy a license. Because these artists who create fonts, they deserve to be compensated if they tell you that you cannot use it for free. So just to remember that. So, and that is the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. Do check out my previous videos, and see you guys on Saturday. Bye.